all comes down to this. Finally, 2 first seeds in the final.
And that shining Summoner's Cup in the middle of it all, Atlas drawing everyone's attention. Let's jump right in to the picks and bans. Yuumi and Twisted Fate from red side, no surprise here. Expect these to remain, but Lee Sin is a big question. I feel like every team that was given Canyon Lee Sin has regretted it. And what is their final ban going to be? Are they going to cover jungle?
And already, how interesting is this? The Lissandra ban comes out from Damwon to say, hey, want to ban Lee? We'll take LeBlanc. Oh, you want to remove LeBlanc? We'll take Lee.
This is a trap card. They set up the trap.
They
have
did.
a free ban. They may as well throw it out there. The Lee Sin, as you said, going to be banned away. Obviously, LeBlanc the follow-up, but now what do we do on the other side? Jin's been such high priority. Jarvan's still available as well.
I love the Jin point because it rose to astronomical levels of priority in the T1 DK series. And Ghost showing that he does have other options though, because now Jin taken away, he has gone to the Ziggs, which also gives you long range, safe wave clear, or even the Draven, which I expect a much less chance of because Jin's already decent pick into Draven. So this puts more priority, more crunch time on that. Ziggs possibility, and that kind of loads you up with AP. So the bottom lane, there it is. They don't hesitate with that AP. All right, question answered immediately. Thank you very much.
I really like it, but the whole top lane champion pool is wide open. Both of these top laners love their Jace, love their Graves, and if you've got a Ziggs in the bottom lane, you need tons of AD damage. The lethality becomes all that more valuable. And so now, that Graves or Jace looking real juicy for Damwon.
They certainly do. And Khan Jace would be so big for him in his last professional series.
Oh yeah.
Iconic champion for him, but they're going to go with support down on bottom side, grab that Rakan up very quickly. This has been a super high priority champion as far as the engaged supports go. Yes, there have been more and more enchanters creeping in, but Rakan puts a lot of threat on those, and you can combine with Ziggs for some very surprising kill opportunities as well.
Well, I am a little surprised to see the rise. Of course, if you've looked at Scout's match history, you probably wouldn't be.
It's top of the list.
It is top of the list
but
for
he's played
him.
11 unique champions, Vetty.
Right, but his most played is definitely the Rise, so it's a big comfort pick for him. And when you kind of look at the mid-jungle duo, yes, it can certainly be strong, but picking it into LeBlanc, Showmaker loves this matchup. It was one that he was more than happy to play into Faker himself and was able to get the better of him especially when paired up with the Kiana. And this is something I'd love to see EDG ban away. I like the Talon ban, but they also need to take Canyon off that Kiana because of how well it enables the LeBlanc. But then, of course, Xin Zhao still up and available, so you know that Canyon's options are still very, very wide.
Yeah. Big thing for Damwon is that they have been so flexible, especially Canyon and Showmaker in the champion pools, so they have a lot of confidence in being able to get through the second round of advance here. But I just love that we're still seeing similar trends continue for both of these teams, and EDG have focused very heavily on team fighting and still went with that setup for Jarvan. You mentioned the rise and the possibilities for affecting those side lanes. I want to see the question of Flandre. They already ban out the Kennen here from top side by DK, but if they also leave the Graves up, that feels like a no-brainer with it being picked over and over and over for them.
I really like the Leona removal as well here from Damwon. It is something that Mako did bring out, even though throughout this tournament he has been playing a lot of range supports. Showcasing the Leona was a big answer last week in their semifinals that helped them pull through. But with the cannon gone, with the Gwen still open, it could be an option for Damwon. But when you already have an AP bot side of the map, perhaps EDG is sitting there saying, well, we expect you to do an AD top jungle right now, and that means that Graves should be a pretty solid blind.
Yeah, and so far this draft looks like the meta combined with EDG. It's pretty quintessential right now. But if you look over the other side, Damwon are doing a similar thing to what we saw T1 try to do against EDG in their first matchup, which is probably going to be the Jace, Ziggs, sort of pseudo-poke composition for late game threat around objectives and things like this, as that's a Yasuo, so never mind!
Yes!
Never mind! And that's Khan playing Yasuo as well.
Yes, we were looking for the spicy picks.
It happens in game one?
Exactly, we get it in game number 1 here. Definitely will create a volatile top side of the map, and that's one of the two things pulling these two teams in different directions in a lot of cases where EDG is so much focus on Viper on the bottom side, and yet Damwon expected to put a lot of pressure on the top triangle of the map, that mid-jungle top lane picks. Now they've got Xin, LeBlanc, and Yasuo topside. That is as spicy as you get. Those are very volatile lanes with lots of kill pressure.
And now Mako's looking at one of these engage supports. You guys have already mentioned that we haven't seen him so much on
is
these.
he?
Okay, never mind. We're putting a clock in the bottom lane instead. All right, the spice wasn't reserved just for Damwon. It is, of course, also for EDG as the Zillion is locked in last.
Zillion is so good versus teams that have large amounts of burst damage. And Damwon definitely do have that in spades. They've invested in it. It's going to come down to some very quick timings and quick fingers. Zillion can be a big flop if you don't get it off before the Rakan engage. It's all about bursting people down before you get that cooldown out, or having good positioning and utilizing the speed to keep your spacing between your carries.
Oh, I'm just so excited about this matchup. First game already, we've got very unique drafts. And gentlemen, this is Khan's first ever professional Yasuo game. Yeah. And it's in the World Finals, potentially his final series. What a time to pull it out.
Perhaps fishing for a world skin, maybe?
We were having a chat about this, weren't we, Kobe? We were wondering whether there was going to be a sneaky Riven game thrown in or something, but instead, he's gone with the Yasuo. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he's been cooking up in solo queue and behind the scenes for us, because when Khan debuted, he was all aggression. He was basically a Riven one-trick when he made his debut, which was many years ago now. To come back to his roots here in game one of the final is, yep, that takes some stones.
And I love how both teams are making adjustments here. On the other side, EDG taking one of the tools that T1 used against Damwon successfully early on to counter some of the burst options that they had in the Zillion. Now it's about executing, though, and actually piloting that well. They've also invested in stealing away the Jhin from Ghost, and we have seen some very big pick opportunities off of this champion, so we'll see if they can make it happen. So exciting getting into the World Finals here.
Yeah, here we are onto the rift for game number 1 of the 2021 World Championship. Already, I think the teams have delivered these drafts feeling very EDG, feeling very Damwon Kia, and especially the top lane feeling very calm at the moment.
So the first thing I would like to draw our attention to, as we wave at the camera, is Beryl is running Predator on Rakan. He is all about the Rones. It seems like that each Damwon member is taking it in turns as to who will run Predator. Perhaps we'll see a Khan Predator top lane later on in the series. But what is crucial here, and what is something that we need to focus on, is when we saw Showmaker drafting this LeBlanc into the Rise in the semifinals, it was constantly attacking that mid lane, looking to shut Scout down. And when you have the Rakan, Xin Zhao, LeBlanc combo, I expect Damwon to be looking to do the same thing again.
And this is them learning off of their series versus T1. One of the ways that you want to try and punish the Zillion pick is either try and go super hard at the Zillion in lane, very weak early laning phase and is much more for scaling, or you just roam heavy. And the Predator is really signaling that, yes, he definitely wants to go roam heavy here. Beryl, I feel like, has really been an underappreciated part of this Damwon lineup since the MSI underperformances from him, but especially this year at Worlds. He has been a integral part of the entire amount of success that they've had here in this big run.
Yeah, and of course, Beryl took that underperformance at MSI and brought it to the summer season as well. It was not a great time for Beryl all the way up until the World Championship. But, ladies and gentlemen, we want to hear from you. Use that hashtag Verizon5G all chat and let us know how you feel about the World Final. Are these compositions exactly what you wanted to see? Some biffo on the bottom side here, Viper throwing out some bullets. Not quite the fourth one just yet, but EDG with control of the wave.
Now we can see that both junglers are doing opposite paths to one another, with the Xin Zhao starting on the bot side, pathing towards top, looking to potentially cover Khan in the event of any early ganks, or perhaps to look for a potential gank themselves. Or meanwhile, JJ starting up on the top side and pathing towards bot, where he expects to have prio. With the Jhin and the Zillion, you should have push in the early 2 versus 2, especially against the Ziggs, who doesn't have the strongest wave cut early on, so he should be able to secure himself that first Scuttle Crab of the game.
Yeah, and exactly. And the reason that EDG went for the deep ward on blue buff and Gromp that you can see right now for Flandre is because you want to get the most out of the early pushing there with Graves. You know you're going to shove lane early. So they've got the early vision here on the blue buff that will expire, knowing that Canyon started bottom side and should be able to play accordingly. Flandre, he's already been able to bounce his wave off of the tower and should be playing around, as Vedia said, the opposite side starts for these junglers.
Yeah, and it looked like that ward didn't quite spot Canyon, but did give them enough information, right? They knew that he hadn't headed towards that blue buff area just yet.
Yeah, it's the process of elimination.
Yeah, right.
Jungle camps early
He
on,
cannot be anywhere else.
they're very easy to actually track and coordinate with just one single deep ward. So it will be traded Scuttle Crabs, and as you can see, after bouncing the wave, Flandre playing it much more safe, even stayed up here, lets Khan push back. Thank you, Observer, so much. He's playing around jungle presence. Very big for mid laners to also do this. It's a much less obvious way where they just kind of hover up to the side where their jungler is, but is equally as important, and Showmaker should be able to catch this one.
And as we get close to those first backs, because you can already start to see them come out from a few members, it will be this level 4 from Beryl, where you need to keep track of what he is looking for elsewhere on the map. Because we do know that he loves to roam, we do know that he loves to try and make plays pretty much everywhere that he can on the map, and you only have to look at some of the stats to identify some of those early game plays.
Yeah, I love it. And you can see here, displayed in the graphic, how high of a dual proximity Mako has on the other side. Guess what? With Zilean, that's going to remain very, very high, giving over experience there with the passive. And Barrels is going to be extremely low. We expect a back first purchase of boots so that he can use that Predator to go make that support jungle play early on.
And I really love that Mako is just showing his versatility, right? He basically designed engaged support play over in the LPL and has this Worlds demonstrated that he has a whole nother string to that bow, of course, and has been just playing for so long.
Yes.
Really cool to see.
So many enchanters. He fully embraced the Yuumi meta.
He certainly did.
Bunch of Yuumi there as well, and it does go into this team being so constructed around Viper and Viper's success.
Having a look at Flandre just shoving that wave in once again. Yasuo not exactly having the greatest of times in the early laning phase, but which Yasuo does, you know? The enemy team's Yasuo does.
In the early stages, especially up on top side, is just looking to use the wind wall to avoid damage while still picking up CS. And then you can get some kill threat since you have a Xin Zhao. Once you get post level 6, you've got knockups from Beryl, you've got knockups from Xin. Even later, Ziggs can throw satchel charges and set you up. So they've shown here that they can definitely coordinate towards the later stages. And there's Beryl's first roam. He has his Predator boots, and he just comes over to support Showmaker as Scout and Mako already showing here and shoving the wave in to get first move.
Yeah, feels like a bit of a chess match at the moment. Moving the pieces around, but not actually going for any takes.
I mean, I always love it. The first game of a best of 5, especially finals, there's just so much pressure mounting. Even as we have calm trades of CS and the draft kind of plays out as expected. But really for all of these players, as we see Beryl slowly returning to the bottom side, their entire year's worth of work, all of those scrims, all of those solo queue games, all of that practice, all of those reviews are distilled down to this one series. And everything rides on this.
So just a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, you know.
But you're quite right. And you know that in that first game, the person that makes the first play often is not always the one that's best set up for success. So it's about who will strike first, who will be the first to try and mount that lead. Because right now the gold is dead even. It has just been a large part of trading. The CS is even across the board. No early Drakes have been prioritized, but it is this Herald that we have seen be a big part of the first contention. As we are getting closer to that point, we're going to keep track of who looks to move first and these crucial item spikes.
Yep, JJ on the bottom side of the map at the moment, but as is Canyon. We're 1 minute away from that Herald spawn, like you were talking about, and it's very dark in the bottom side river for Damwon Kia.
Ooh, so they weren't seen walking in, but the moment that control ward drops, Damwon gets information as to where EDG is. Now they're looking to contest this red buff, and because Scout has the push in the mid lane, he will be able to assist. So EDG should be able to secure themselves the first enemy red.
And this is very basic timer control. Here's the Realm Warp, though.
Yeah, let's see whether Ghost can survive this one. He might be able to, as Beryl's also battling, dancing his way out, but it doesn't work. First blood goes to Scout and EDG.
So well executed by EDG. And I was about to go over the timings that are expected. When you know, because you put the ward as EDG up onto the blue buff, so there is a guaranteed red buff start for Damwon, you know that around 650, 645, second buff spawn comes up from the one that they started on, and so they go for the invade on that second round. But what they weren't really accounting for was the Realm Warp in the bottom lane. Vedius gets a little bit lackadaisical. They do not respect the all-in potential of EDG. And the LPL first on the board.
But look at the answer here from Damwon, because Showmaker TP's back into mid to guarantee that he can get the push. Beryl, after his death, immediately roamed mid, and he gets level 6, as highlighted by Kadril earlier. Utilizing that mid wave, being able to get that extra bit of experience, he's going to have that level up, and EDG, I think they're going to want to contest.
Yep, there's teleport.
Already getting into the pit here. The teleport does come out. Grand entrance onto the Jarvan. They hold him up. The ulti's too good from Khan. Great stun comes through, but it's too late for Mako. And now Damwon Kia move back to the Herald. Ghost now getting them out of there, and the Hextech minefield is just too strong, and that is a comfortable take for Damwon Kia plus a kill.
Damwon were first on position, and they punish JJ perfectly with the numbers advantage. Damwon can easily secure the objective, and just like that, we're back to 1-to-1 on the kill board.
Yeah, you could say that again. The coordination from EDG is not there on the top side play, trying to come punish the early start on Rift Herald, but they're so desynced. Venice, going right over the back of the wall. They're good focus fire from DK to punish. That is given one back, uses the blast cone, then you see Beryl immediately move in to try and push him out. Once he lands that knockup, as we talked about, there's so many setups for this Yasuo, and this is where you get the combination. You get hit with one knockup, instantly dead, full combo from Damwon, well played by them to punish.
And this was something that we see from EDG during their semifinals as well, where a lot of their engage comes off the back of JJ. So if he's gone, there is no more follow-up. You are very reliant on him to start the fights for you and to be able to close the gap against this Damwon composition. So really good target focus there from Damwon, but the gold still in the favor for now, in favor of EDG.
Yeah, EDG simply have to be much more precise with their timings here. You can't leave anyone out to straggle there, and if you do, you have to respect the all-in, no flash blown or anything like that. We're in the world though now, living with this Rift Herald in the hands of Canyon, and when you have Ziggs on your team, it also has that extra level of threat that you can move the Ziggs around to the same lane. And oftentimes, especially if you've done some early work on that tower, you can just Rift Herald into Satchel Charge and blow up a first objective. So
there's the Predator.
Game could be very explosive.
Yeah, Viper able to sidestep the Grand Entrance, so not quite able to Predator his way forward enough there was Beryl, but still gets Viper out of the way. Not able to get any summon spells just yet though, as in goes Showmaker. As I say that, SVG, Parabellum says, oh my god, Khan is going out with a statement. Damwon Kia for the win, let's go boys.
Well, yeah, followed up on the Rakan knockup right well with the Yasuo ultimate there. That R button is working.
I'd like to just raise a point that you brought up though. The level 6 that was gained by Beryl and not Mako was so important there. If Mako has the ultimate, all of that chain CC and that lockdown on a single target isn't quite as powerful because the Jarvan just hops back up again. So this could be very important moving further forward in the game.
It certainly could be. And I think that right now, the only reason why EDG have that gold lead is because they're able to secure a plate in mid, they secured a plate in bot, but Damwon have this Herald in their back pocket. The question is where they want to invest it. You could go to the Ziggs lane, in theory, because of course you do have the Satchel Charge to be able to secure towers early, but it depends on where you want to invest your money. Perhaps it makes more sense to try and funnel more gold into Khan, when you know he's going to be one of your big late game threats in a side lane and in team fights as well. Or perhaps you just want to break that mid tower because you know sieging against Scout with his wave clear could be difficult with this composition from Damwon in the early game at least.
Ooh. Close, but not quite a cigar there.
Yeah, mid lane tower would definitely be the ideal situation to get down early. It's just such a big objective when you do have the setup here that Damwon do with possibilities of Showmaker's LeBlanc, one of the most feared combinations that we have in the tournament. Getting fed early with the early kill actually going to him. He's the one to get the last hit onto JJ, which is very important for them. But if you then take the mid tower and let him roam around with this assassin pick, you lose control of your brush, and that makes your rotations between objectives so much longer because you have to respect all this extra positioning and your lack of vision.
And I've had a few requests, gentlemen, since we announced that we were going to be doing the final. A lot of requests for no Cloud Souls. And thankfully, our first Drake is in fact a Cloud Drake, so no Cloud Souls for game number 1. I'm sad, but most of you guys at home are probably going to be a bit happy.
I mean, I think also this is one of those games when you have Jhin plus Zillion, the Cloud Soul would have been great.
Yeah, right?
It would have been. But we can see that Herald
I was ready to talk about it, but then I saw that it came up too early. I was very upset as Herald is going to charge into the mid lane, grab some plates here as Beryl sidesteps the stun from Viper, and EDG have to just lose a few plates, but otherwise not too much more.
From EDG's perspective, this is really best case scenario for them.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's dropped, it's not really used optimally. You only get a couple plates, and Damwon realized that there's not that much time left for us to get that much gold, but that mid lane tower still stays healthy. So with EDG holding this small gold lead, I think that they're still feeling pretty comfortable for the time being.
They also threatened moving Ziggs towards mid though. So here we go.
There's the Predator again. Quickness tied in with it as well, and Scout has nowhere to go. Beryl tanks up the turret for a long time, but he can. They're going to be fine, and that's just the pick from the 2v2 in the mid lane.
And we talked about this
2v1.
coming out of the draft. Would Damwon look to attack mid lane? And this was the first successful gank that we were able to see from Beryl. Chains seeing up Scout perfectly. He doesn't have the cleanse to get away from the charm. Ends up falling to the setup from the LeBlanc as well. And now Damwon, for the first time in the game, hold themselves with the gold lead.
And you need to look back at how they set that up. In the Rift Herald play, rotating the entire bottom lane over with Ziggs coming through, they clear out this vision, if you see in the top side river there, and then Beryl coming back for the repeat on that Rakan, making good on his catch here onto Scout. Again, this is another pick by the Rakan. No flash blown by the targets, and kill successful. Is given over as far as the Dragon though. First one picked up for EDG, and let's remember that they do have some good scaling options on their side, namely with that Zillion to counter some of the burst damage options, as well as some side lane opportunities for Ryze later.
I wanted to talk a little bit about this, because oftentimes we talk about scaling when it comes to comps like this, but let's have a look at this replay first.
Yeah, great thing about this, good vision toggle by the observers. That fog of war you just saw was previously cleared out by them, so Beryl lies in wait. They get the full lockup onto Scout, and by the time he's done with the charm, with the CC, he knows he's dead. So well executed here by Damwon. Kind of surgical in some of these early moves. It was just the one mistake, not respecting the early Realm Warp on bottom side, that led to that first blood going to EDG.
Yeah, it's been a pretty interesting back and forth in this early game, but really it's the mid game where I think we get to see some of the best League of Legends from both of these teams. EDG, typically, yeah, they'll throw a couple ganks out in the early game, but it is that transition from the early to mid where they leverage their early gold lead to strong team fighting, and it's the same for Damwon, where this is where you start to unlock them on the map. This is where they'll really start to look for those picks and start to unlock with their composition.
Well, they're looking for a bit of a pick here as Mako's burning down for now. In goes JJ, though, into the backside. It's flash out immediately from Ghost as the Jarvan out of position, but still able to grab the kill. And look at all of that healing as well. He's going to get resurrected from the Chrono Shift, and now it's Damwon Kia that are on the run. Canyon is not rooted just yet, but Khan is just dead. Down goes Canyon as well, and there is the Rift Herald.
And they get it with the Viper shot here. Rift Herald plus the extra kills. The Zillion effect is already on the line, boys. Mako's there to save his life. Revival, they get the extra kills, and they're going to retake control of this game. Now with second Herald, yes, you don't get turret plate money, but you get a lot of control of choosing which side lane you want to push in first.
And breaking down turrets is so important as well. As we check this one out one more time. Mako goes down low, but crucially doesn't die.
Exactly. Some of the big threats to Zillion are burst damage trying to bait out the ultimate, but Mako stays strong. He keeps it up here. JJ even buys time by smiting the Rift Herald, gaining health to walk back over to the safety of Mako's waiting arms. And in the early game especially, those revives give you so much more time. And it's hard to work through some extra cooldowns there. There's no more DPS left for Damwon, so well done by EDG to actually fend them off, plus securing the objective.
I think what we saw there as well was why I think a lot of future teamfights are going to look like, and why Ghost in particular is super important, because there's a lot of single target damage that comes out from this Damwon squad, and Zillion loves that, because you throw all your burst onto a single target, he then revives them, and it's only Ziggs that can do a lot of AoE, as EDG now looking to attack Khan.
Yeah, Khan doesn't have a lot of options right now as he's trying to dash his way around, and it looks like EDG might have been thwarted for the moment. They will put down the Rift Herald though, and so Khan will still need to vacate the area, but he does so with his life.
Exactly. EDG choose the bottom side for the Rift Herald. Bottom side down immediately. First turret bonus. Actually 17 minutes into the game for them. So they get paid extremely well for this. And remember, they're focusing pretty heavily on these team fights, displaying why they keep picking JJ Jarvan over and over and over. This is his 7th Jarvan game in a row. They simply walk over to second Rift Herald, start the fight out with the Cataclysm, force it down, knowing that they have the Zillion to come back them up. and now pushing their winnings ahead on these objectives.
And gentlemen, coming into this series, we knew that early game would be important. And I just want to highlight some of these early game stats that we see from EDG, because in their wins, and this was at 15, they have a huge early game gold advantage. It was 15-30 where they got this gold advantage, but EDG looks best when they're able to...
15 minutes were they ahead?
It was 15-30. Well, that they got ahead, yes.
Oh, right. So they weren't ahead at 15 minutes.
They were not, actually. It's a contentious one for sure.
Very dangerous.
But the point is that you can see that when they get ahead, usually they're actually very good at closing things out. Their average game time is very short. In both wins and losses, this team does not like to waste time. So let's see if EDG can translate this into a big win against Damwon in the final.
Yeah, will be absolutely huge. Scout clearing out some waves on the top side of the map as Damwon Kia looking to try and get some vision parity around this mid lane. Viper dashing on forward. And of course, that extra movement speed that you get from the Zilean is so important for a champion like Jin that can run so damn fast.
Yeah, it's very good at short trades. Whenever you have limited attack speed here from the 4-bullet setup from Jin, you want as short trades as possible. So the extra speed is really well paired with him. We also need to look at just the overall objectives of these two teams and how they are different with the teleport coming in from Scout. EDG want to focus on that team fight, grouping up with the Zilean. Meanwhile, DK need to get a surgical pick here and make use of their surprise burst damage as well as locking someone up with that CC, or else the Zilean is just going to take over.
Yeah, full information for both teams right now. Eyes on this Infernal Drake. The Scout getting poked, but EDG's health bar is still pretty high. Well in control of the river for the moment. Damwon have a lot of options for getting over this wall if they want to. The Blast Cone also there if they want to contest for this Drake, but the positioning still better for EDG as Showmaker dives into the pit, distorts his way out, and that is just a pick-off. And EDG bursts down the Drake, and now there's nothing to fight for Damwon Kia.
And look, EDG also have control over the mid wave, so they should be able to push this one out as Damwon is looking for picks. The root comes down.
Yeah, Scout goes down relatively low, but it's the burst damage onto Showmaker. He has to get out. He's got a bomb, but it doesn't do very much damage. As now Canyon with the ulti will keep himself alive. Scout burning down, but is going to survive for the moment. We don't have an ulti out of the Ziggs, so Scout is going to be okay.
Mako has ice in his veins. He is not wasting this cooldown. He's like, Scout, walk it off, okay? You're gonna be fine. I'm not using my ultimate, and saving that in these critical moments really does mean the difference between life and death. It does mean the difference between Damwon still pushing down an objective afterwards. The huge chunk in health is enough to still earn them that objective.
Wow, but very tense moment there, because you could see that EDG was making it very difficult for Damwon to get a pick. They were positioning themselves in a very traditional front-to-back manner where the Jarvan was constantly on the front line, forcing Damwon to come into him and saying, if you're going to engage, I'm the target that you're going to force. Meanwhile, Scout was hovering just behind him, waiting for those potential pick opportunities, and Damwon really struggled to gain access into the river. That meant that they couldn't really contest the Drake, and it wasn't until after, when EDG spread out a little bit more, that then they could look for that pick. Unfortunately for Damwon, they couldn't really convert it into a kill, but as you rightly said, Kobe, they do get themselves a tower.
Exactly, though. I love the positioning because it's so important for EDG. And it's going to be a lot on watching the support, because for Mako, he has to remain close enough to Viper to be able to obviously give him the speed boost and be around for the ultimate for whoever's getting focused, but also separate himself so that you don't get caught in the Recon combo. You know, Barrel with the Predator is constantly looking for pockets of Fog of War to find those engages, and if you can lock up both targets, that's where you get your win.
I very much agree with you, Kobe, because I think that Beryl finding a flank is going to be the most important thing for Damwon, because the combination with Yasuo immediately gives you access onto the backline, and the moment that that chaos begins, that is where Damwon's better set up for success with their highly mobile composition.
Yeah, that's why in the mid game we're going to be hyper-focused on this Vision game. Vision is definitely not one of the easiest metrics for people to track for team successes, because it's not on scoreboard, you know, like the gold in big lights.
Yeah.
Very easy for you, but it is critical to the success of their operations here. Let's see, Showmaker is LeBlanc, plus he has Flash, so a lot of tools to try and get away from this one. Jarvan is not the best at setting up any sort of ganks onto LeBlanc.
Yeah, you should be all right.
Rise is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to move on in. Let's see whether the Rune Prison comes out, and the answer is no, as we have a Distortion available. Of course, the Mimic also having to be used, but it's on basically no cooldown, so never mind that one. Baron has spawned a couple of minutes ago. Could be something potentially worth fighting over, but I love that you bring up Vision. I wanted to talk about this because both of these teams want to do different things. EDG phenomenal 5v5 style of composition, but Damwon, they want to split you up around their map. They want to play those shadow games. And like you were talking about, you need vision control if you're going to do that.
You certainly do, and I think that right now, when we kind of have a quick look at the map, you can see that there's a lot of control in favor of Damwon when it comes to the river. They have good access into the top side, they have a couple wards littered around the bot side as well, and ultimately, Damwon's investment is they're using mid very well. When we talk about that mid tower going down, initially it doesn't look like that much of an advantage, but you can see how Damwon converted into a lot of vision control, and the moment that you control the river, it means that you have access to move towards these side lanes, and they just use that to be able to protect their top lane tier 1.
Another tactic Damwon can utilize, because they're enabled by this Ziggs plus 2 possible split pushers here with high amounts of burst damage, is if you just put Ghost and Barrow mid lane as we see the chase through the river. Yeah. You keep them mid lane, they have insane wave clear, and they're extremely safe, and you try and force the Zilean to show mid. Then you can force a play out of Fog of War on either the Yasuo or the LeBlanc's lane, and have Ghost just travel halfway and throw the ultimate. That amount of extra damage and the burst damage can come through to get you that actual kill for your split pusher, while still knowing that the Zilean is kind of forced mid to keep the Jhin safe, and you try and utilize your extra couple steps there in the long range to get those surprise kills. So that kind of builds off your spreading the map point.
Showmaker diving forward, looking for JJ, but he's so fast. Mako is really enabling this jungler right now as Canyon becomes lightning, but unable to find a target quite yet. As Flandre trying to rotate up, JJ down quite low. The chains will connect, but not able to follow up. Just 50% of the health bar of the Jarvan as the reward here. Still 2,000 gold the lead for EDG, and they're controlling this river. 15 seconds on the Drake, which is what they have their eyes on. That's going to be soul point for EDG if they can lock it down, as JJ once again actually copying a bit of damage here from Showmaker. It is going to be fine. They get vision of the Jarvan, and that's who they want to take down. Damwon, they have to remember they're going to have to do it twice if they want it to stick.
Damwon just leveraging their poke right now. A lot of damage. Here we go.
Yeah, Scout now going to take a lot of damage. There is the Chrono Shift. And EDG not able to follow up too much. The Curtain Call comes out, but not able to do relevant damage. Ghost getting taken down so low with that last bullet. And Damwon now going to be backing away. EDG still lying in wait with control of that brush.
Scout is getting out of range so he can revive back or heal back up at the tower and then teleport out. It's going to get dangerous for Damwon. Showmaker flirting with a flank around the outside. There's the teleport, and Scout has returned.
Yeah, Showmaker going to dive into the pit, tries to take the Drake, but he's not going to be able to get there. And that is going to be soul point for EDG, a big advantage now in map control for the Chinese squad.
And we're seeing once again how valuable the Zilean pick is, because the obnoxious thing about Damwon's comp is they start off the Baron. I'll have to hold off my point because they are forcing EDG to come and answer.
And answer they shall. Teleport used from Graves. They're going into the river. Headstrong. Atlas, can they stop them? It looks like they're going to make them second guess it. I think we've got some technical problems over there. Are you good?
Yeah, yep, I'm absolutely fine. We've sorted it out. We're looking for a Baron here, and Damwon Kia taking it down to about 4k. Flandre looking for the backside. Damwon Kia have been split, and the 3 in the pit are going to have to get out of there. Great satchel charge, try and divide them. And now JJ, maybe they're the ones getting routed. The pincer maneuver here from Damwon Kia. The Realm Warp gets Scout in there, but he's got the Chrono Shift. He's going to be absolutely fine. It's a 1-for-1 for the moment as they get rid of the Zilean, but Ziggs is also dead. Some low health bars, but so far, EDG in a good position. There it is, as it is evened out by Damwon Kia. Down goes Viper, and now EDG looking to try and get out. 3 versus 3 for now, but it's Damwon Kia with control of the river.
And with the scattered fight, they actually chase them down. Barrow's ultimate coming back up, and they just make the all-in. Convert onto Viper, regaining control around that Baron. That was a close one, Vedius.
Well, it certainly was. The fact that Damwon immediately went to the Baron after the Dragon suggested that, as you rightly identified, Kobe, they were trying to force that TP out from Flandre, but also the positioning from Showmaker and Beryl on the flank set themselves up perfectly to create this collapse. But EDG attacked one of the weak sides, but Damwon do a great job of just stalling, buying time, using their mobility, and then the moment EDG commit, this is when Damwon get to leverage their mobility. A huge ultimate from Ghost does so much damage to allow Showmaker to pick up a couple of back picks, but EDG no slouches either, getting kills, overall resulting in a 2-for-2.
Yeah, one of the biggest things to track too in the next iteration of this team fight is how Damwon are using these immunity spells. The Xin ultimate, of course, to create space and give you a pseudo frontline, but also the wind wall from Khan is a pretty big window, whereas EDG, they're looking for that all-in, and you see it with JJ forcing on Jarvan and then being followed up by the Realm Warps here coming from Scout. And long range from Viper trying to hit those W snares to force them into these fights, whereas Damwon are remaining very slippery and again spreading out the map, committing this Yasuo to the bottom side. Khan continues to scale up and still has his teleport available if there's a hard push on the other side.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the teleport advantage. EDG not with too many options on that front. Realm Warp is available for Scout though, so he can do a bit of side laning. You can see he's catching that bottom wave right now. It's going to be double TPs for Damwon Kia though, giving them a lot of flexibility in order to get around and get things done. And already you can see Canyon clearing out vision in this Baron pit. Baron definitely on the minds of Damwon Kia, and I feel like this whole game, it's been a 2,000 gold lead from the minute one.
Yeah, it has been very close. There was a brief window where Damwon were able to get slightly ahead, but immediately taken back by EDG. And I'm just so happy that we're getting to see two teams deliver when it comes to the team fighting, because coming into this tournament, expectations were that EDG was one of the favorites to the tournament. And while there has been some skepticism around their performance at this World Championship, the reality is that they have always been known as an excellent team fighting team. And right now, they're going toe-to-toe with Damwon.
And their focus on committing to this style. When they walked up to Rift Herald #2 and forced it through and had the confidence playing off of that revive and forcing it through, that's where they really retook control of this game, because yeah, Rift Herald #1 was terrible for them, and Damwon had a very good early start trying to open up the map, and yet EDG remained true to themselves. A lot of people, most people, giving overwhelming support to Damwon as far as this series goes, so it's very heartening to see the LPL represented with all of the hopes of the entire region on their shoulders. Well,
yeah, that's
dangerous.
The turnaround. Flandre dived on in, thought that it was going to be for him as, can he get out of the way? Yes, he definitely can. And so the lockdown, not quite enough there from Khan's ultimate. And Graves is going to survive.
That was crazy from Flandre. He just goes in 1 versus 2 and is able to get away with his life as well. Wow, didn't have to burn the flash because he didn't have it. Does get the ignite out from Beryl. Can go back to base. TP comes through from Khan. TP is up from Flandre. Not going to use it yet.
There's another knock up onto JJ, but he's going to be absolutely fine. Gets over that wall. Null Magic Mantle helping him out just there.
And notice, Damwon are just trying to poke around here while they have Yasuo push on top side. That huge minion wave crashes into the low health turret, and then they force on Baron.
Yep, you can see JJ going to be on vision as soon as he comes out of that brush, but EDG, they can go for an answer here. Control ward in the pit, they know exactly the health bar, and Damwon Kia, are they looking for a turn? Do they actually have the coordinated damage to lock anyone down before Mako can bring them back to life? In goes JJ, they just explode Showmaker. He is so important for their team fight, and he goes golden as well. He's got the Sterix, he's got the Chrono Shift. It's an immortal Jarvan trying to win the team fight, and EDG have lost no one. In goes Beryl once again, but it's going to be a sacrifice, and Damwon Kia are left with corpses on the Rift.
And EDG have done it, Atlas! Brute force right into the face of Damwon. They are squished like bugs on the windshield. That is a clean ace. That is a Baron. Fedius, this game is wide open. EDG have just smashed it.
EDG are delivering in the fights, and they execute it perfectly. It was Viper that sunk his teeth into the heart of Damwon. He found Showmaker, the pick that was needed to tear apart Damwon. It tore the fight wide open. EDG get themselves an ace. They get the Baron, they get the Soul, and they are looking to get game 1 in this best of 5.
This is so big for JJ too. You know, all the focus on Jarvan, him being the frontliner.
Look at this
here.
from Viper. Beautiful hit into the root. Immediate follow-up from JJ to set up for the fight.
Exactly. You have to see no hesitation there. Complete trust in their teammates. Viper lands the snare, this Jhin steal away, followed up so well by the team, and they get every last one. So not only is it a clean ace, it's just huge map control. Since they're the ones with the extra effort towards their team fight, they're the ones with the Zillion scaling so well here towards the later stages. You just get to destroy the entire map with this Baron as well. Look at this Baron power play start to explode. 2 minutes left on it, and they're already at 2.7k.
And they had the Dragon Soul waiting for them as well. So Ocean Soul now encircling EDG at the same time. Another 5 minutes, and it's going to be that Elder Drake time. But the Red Bull Baron power play is only getting larger.
This series is EDG's chance to shock the world. Damwon, the defending world champions, already going so heavily down in game number 1 here, is just such a huge step by EDG. Let's see if they can finish it. The attempts at split push here from Damwon are going to get outpaced very quickly by a full Baroned up team.
Yes, this is a lot of minions and a lot of champions here. Showmaker looking for a bit of a flank, but there is no real option. Khan's going to be backing, look to try and get back and assist the rest of his team, but his house has been blown up, gentlemen. It's not a great time, and Showmaker able to get himself out of the Cataclysm, but EDG, they can do this all day.
Forced to flash, and oh look, the Realm Warp is coming through immediately. They're going to rotate up to top. They've circumvented the wave that they don't have by leveraging the Realm Warp, and they're now looking to break onto the final inhibitor. Not that many minions, so Damwon should be able to hold. And look at this, Maker also clearing out the flank for any potential TP wars that could come in from behind. They recognize that they've taken everything that they should right now. They're going to disengage, they're going to back off, but the base of Damwon is in tatters.
Yeah, EDG with just methodical movement, making sure there was absolutely no way any flank was going to happen. They had vision exactly where they needed it to be, and now 8,000 gold is their lead. 2 inhibitors are down. This is poised to be EDG taking game 1.
This is just so big for them, Atlas. The poise that they have had on stage, the composure here, unperturbed by a lot of this pick potential from Damwon. And for them to execute here in finals after just this year, finally breaking their quarterfinal curse, is so big for them, so big for the region. They've been to Worlds 5 times previously and never gotten past quarterfinals. And now already getting a leg up in the finals. Remnants of this Baron power play will time out, but 4.1k is definitely gonna be something you take to the bank.
It definitely is not bad, as EDG is a bit of a demonstration of their domestic prowess. I think a lot of people might remember some worlds where things didn't go quite so well for EDG. I know
Just a few.
I know I certainly do.
3 of those times, by the way, of their 5 Worlds appearances, they were the #1 seed of LPL and highly disappointed the region by not getting past quarterfinals. But this is why it's such a big triumph for them to be here and to get the lead.
Well, let's see whether they can close it out. That lady certainly started warming up her voice box, but she hasn't quite started.
You can hear her in the
yet.
distance, Atlas?
Yeah, there's some yodeling happening. I can hear it in the far reaches, but it hasn't started just yet for real. Damwon Kia looking to try to defend their last bastions of hope. 3 turrets remain. But EDG are just so strong.
The real struggle right now for EDG is just this Ziggs wave clear that is kind of holding the line against EDG Siege. But look, they're going to commit again. The wave clear continues to come through, but perhaps it will not be enough. The 5-man of EDG looking to go in.
Flash Cataclysm comes forward, and JJ just trying to put them in position, but it's Canyon. He's got the ultimate, and now the dive forward from Beryl. It does not work out. The Grand Entrance only hits one, and then he just pops like a balloon. The wind wall looks comically ineffective, as now the Nexus turrets are falling. And for a series that so many predicted was a 3-0, yes, it might be, but it's not going to be for Damwon Kia. Edward Gaming absolutely wiping the floor with our former world champions. They make sure they finish the job before they finish off the Nexus.
EDG